the headboard hexagons to look like honeycomb. And I made some paper ones of different sizes last night and I put them on the wall. On the way to doing that, I realized that I made octagons. I didn't understand how my octagons were creating a little like square space in between them. And I was asking, why is my hexagon looking like a stop sign? And then I realized, well, I made octagons, not hexagons, for my paper mock-up. And then I also didn't measure them right. How you measure a hexagon, I thought a 1-inch hexagon would fit inside a 1 by 1 inch space, and that's really small to my eye, especially for sewing. And you actually measure the hexagon for quilting and application. Measure one side, that's 1 inch, and double that, that would be across, so 2 inches. And I think that's going to be the right size. And what I like about it is I'm not against smaller, although I think smaller is going to be a little bit more difficult to sew. Again, not against that if that's truly what I want. It looks more like a mosaic, not against a mosaic either. But the pattern seems to be smaller where it kind of pulls your eye back. It makes it look like distance to have the Pendleton blanket working small and larger format, and then having just small mosaic seems to pull your eye back, and that's not really the feeling tone I want. So I'm opting for the larger one, and I do think the 1-inch hexagon, 2 inches across measurement, is perfect for the feeling tone of something that relates with the current pattern. The pattern of the blanket, the bedspread, meaning that it's not pulling the eye back as if you were seeing something at a distance. And I've also thought that I wanted to do, I was going to leave one honeycomb empty. And I was thinking, when you're facing the bed, where I want to put it is upper, high, right side. But if you're in the bed, that would be left. I'm thinking rather than just doing one hexagon, when you have a hexagon and you've got hexagon shapes around it, it looks like a flower, and there's 7 of them. See, even. I think I'm going to leave 7 blank and empty, as it were. And for me, that signifies our working relationship, where I or you can never ever be even. 1 and 0. 1 and 0. The fact that I have something to continue, even through, even to, is expressively the dynamic of our relationship for whatever reasons or lack of reason or faith or fact, fact H, it's our dynamic. That in a way you are, I presume, a vessel for me. FORAMEALLEYEID. think that's the dynamic that you can rest a foundation on for now. It seems to be what's at play. Pay, play, lay. P-L-A-Y-E with the L in parentheses. E-I-D is oath, and it's a feast. I say F for framework and fretwork. Artistically speaking, positive content, what you see, framework, fretwork, the negative space around it should be equal in value. F-E-A parentheses S divided by S, what you see inside and outside, within, without of the framework and fretwork. T, F-E-A parentheses S over S, T, feast with your feet, and your framework and fretwork, eat each T. Time for completion. What that you make even. So you're upset today. I mean, I'm not really saying anything new. If anything, I am gathering principles and consolidating them that I've already strewn. I'm getting more clarity each time I restate it, I would think, honing with greater simplicity and elegance, understanding the obvious, stating the obvious and refining it. So let's discuss possibility. I know there's not been a whole lot of movement here, apparently. You've watched me watch videos on how to do EPP, English paper piecing for quilts, studying the best way to start working on my bed and frame. One other thing I could tell you about that before going forward. I've decided that I'm going to use Velcro on the headboard hanging of the honeycomb and the sides too, whatever I decide to do with that. I'm still thinking that's going to be leather. But I'm going to use Velcro, and the reason why is it gives me it's very easy for it to be adaptable. Say I want to take a side drape down because I don't have the morning sun in that season. I can do that. I don't have to take the metal frame apart with the screws and the, so it's really for my adaptability. It's not difficult for me to take that frame apart. It is working overhead, where, that might be more difficult for other people. I go to the gym, so I'm okay working overhead. My shoulders don't get fatigued. But it was just like, you know what? If I build this with the engineering in mind for it to be adaptable to my climb and climate means and needs, so much the better. So I'm moving in thinking about this in a well-rounded fashion. I'm thinking about design. What does it mean? What does the gesture mean? Edges, how to finish the edges. Fabric, what kind of fabric? Is it going to be washed? Because if it is, that needs to be a consideration. The answer is no. I'm not intending to wash silk, this silk, and um, studying the application. So I definitely like the doing the paper pieces, and I'll order them. Someone that's going to cut the hexagons for me, and I'm going to use the glue pen. Where I've watched some videos, and the ones I don't like is they're putting the glue on the fabric, just really kind of fast and sloppily. Is not what I want. The one I liked was the one that used the glue pen on the paper, and then when it dries, it becomes less tacky, and the glue remains mostly on the paper. So you remove the paper, and I don't really like the idea of glue for my fabric construction, but I get it for this endeavor, for this repetition, and looking at the possibilities. I think it's the most well suited. So Velcro is an option. How am I going to, is it going to stand there? Is it going to be in one position, or do I want to have some long-standing durability with versatility? And I'm thinking that, considering, your Velcro, when it's used a lot, will lose the hook and loop tack. It'll lose that. It won't be as strong, but I don't see this as something I'm going to be like doing this a gazillion times a day. It's not going to happen. So I will have durability and longevity for that attachment method. So thinking well-rounded, thinking about all the considerations for follow-through in advance. And creating that time, that space for me, because this is an elective project, apparently. The nice little accents arrive. Doing wanted to do the leave one honeycomb, one hexagon empty. It's now, no, let's leave symbolically a flower, which would be 7 even hexagons, and I like that. And instinctively, I want to put it upper right if I'm facing the bed, which would be left if you were in the bed. What else? I haven't thought through, I want the hexagons, I don't want a selvage edge. Selvage edge would be your fabric is, selvage edge is, you've got your warp and weft. If I recall, warp is the long thread, weft is across. Your selvage is the finished edge when it's woven. I don't want a selvage edge. I'm going to create the hexagons coming out, so it kind of gives a lace effect, and that will fit inside the iron. I have a hand hammered solid iron bed frame. What else? So there's that. So let's talk about going forward for reward. So maybe I need to talk a little bit about leaving a space empty, because it does define our relatedness right now. If, for instance, we have a space in between us, and it seems like we're trying to fill it before meeting. More importantly, before seeing, so that you can be what you want to be. Great. Okay. So that's really what I'm trying to get about the dynamic is this wrapped opportunity. Um, Let me back up and go all over the place. I've got little thoughts all over the place, and I have another large piece of paper at home. Didn't bring it because I'm starting to get cluttered with notes and I haven't quite done anything with them, and I just don't want to add to that. But it's funny because my thoughts right now are like working with mosaic pieces and colors and, uh, kind of seeing how they coordinate. Here's a thought. The paramour from the gym from the beginning of this year, who I don't like seeing. I ask myself, why do I not like seeing? Because I'm like, seeing this person makes me feel cheap and stupid. The person, the last time he saw me was at Whole Foods. I was looking for some cheese, and I am fairly certain he knows about what I do here, and acts like he doesn't, which I'm kind of like, you know what, I'm over that, until I'm not into it. So when he's like, hi, how are you? I just put a finger up and I walked away. And that was grand communication, okay, because I've got space now. And he was at the gym a couple of days ago, 1 or 2 days ago. And in my peripheral vision, I'm trying not to see him, but I'm like, ah, shit, he's working on chest and I'm working on chest. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go to the treadmill. And then when I was done, I went back to the chest area where they have the chest machines, and he wasn't there, which is great. This would be my understanding from this experience. When the paramour first engaged with me, he seemed very confident. He drives a nice little sport car. He's got a lot of activities and groups and organizations he's engaged in. Upper echelon of his business, he can work from at home, and has the top, some might say, penthouse apartment on the east end overlooking the bay. What else? Our relationship, our relatedness didn't seem to have any negatives, but I find it very indifferent because he's providing me, you want to eat? Yeah, I do. It's probably not a time that I don't want to eat or couldn't eat. Sure, in a timely fashion, the answer is always going to be yes. But Andy Boy did that. Andy Boy pretty much would never invest in my value. Never would. But he engineered a dynamic and an arrangement where he would look generous by providing me to do things with him, which included eating. One time I know most of the places in Portland to eat. So suffice it to say, I am well aware of the limitations. Oh, we can eat together and I'm going to have him pay. Still my time, but he would never invest in my time. He needs to control time because that's how he got his money, to control time. So at the very least, he can look, so to look generous, he might try and put in some conversation of, I'm always paying for you, but you know what, I'm like, Yeah. um, I don't know if the video is frozen or not. I raised my arm and gave the armpit. Um, let's see. The paramour is not confident without my frame. And that's something that I have not acknowledged and seen the working dynamic. He's not even attractive. He's not attractive without my frame. I don't really know what to say or add to that. It's just the hallmark occasion was just the blatantly obvious. You're not attractive without my frame, and I don't see confidence. All I see is vain. VAIN. You know, that was my splint on my thumb pointing downwards. if it froze. So that was interesting. I don't know. Let's see if I could find some of these notes going forward. I have notes all over the place. Having faith in Doft because you handed Doft. That's DOF-T. I would hope, if there was any hope at all, to lend Toft and bend Toft as your trial balance, and tend and bend T parentheses B END EBTOFFT HEADDOFFT. Bending it Toft, that he add DOFFT. It would be my hope that that would be the dynamic at play, at pay, at pate, at plate. So it also makes it a another dough hand, D parentheses O H A N D. We're talking about known identity, where the competitive marketplace for no reason is more than happy for no reason, because it doesn't know what happiness means or how you have it, to hand Doft and keep handing Doft, and to keep identity with artificial capacity. You know, you get an ID if you go to war, you get an ID if you falsify skills of follow through. To restore the 0'r, you parted with an ID with hyphens. So we've talked about that before. I mean, all I'm doing here is restating it in another way. But what I wanted to ask you, I'm trying to think of forward movement, is for a change, for the honey lip, when Precog magazine asked if I would like to contribute. I did a 4-page contribution. Their thinking, the conversation at the time, is that they would print for their fall issue, and you know, that may happen, that may not. I do not know. But it's got me thinking, because when I did that 4-page, 4-page was their max that you could contribute. The problem, though, is with starting that exercise, I have much more of another vein, of another flavor that I did. So I'm thinking of using that as a precursor of a new direction, a segue. So I also bought EDDM. So I haven't bought the EDDM, I've bought the printing, but I have not sent in my artwork yet. So I can print that volume. Volume 1, 4 pages, it's front and back. So it's a brochure, basically. Front brochure, back brochure, next page, and next page. And I've already checked it. It's EDDM, every door direct mail by the post office. It's within regulation size. Check that. I just have to put on the stamp, the EDDM and Indica, I think that's what it's called, stamp, and anything else I want to put on that, be it a new website, be it a Patreon, be it a Kickstarter. So those are things I'm thinking about right now to try and go in a different direction. You didn't expect that, did you? That's funny. Well, I don't want you to be bored, and I don't want to be bored either. So, you know, I am, how do I want to say this? I try and be politely responsive to being patient. However, what I find when I work with other people, and in this case, I'm not so much talking about yourself. I'm talking about other pokers in the fire of projects I have out there. That when I wait or when I work with other people, it generally equals waiting, tick, 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 tick. Tick. There's a new tick out, the bourbon tick, and people die from it and they don't know how to cure it. Tick, 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 tick. I wait for no reason. So what I generally, so I'm trying to see through the illusion here of something that should be that I should get a payback out of. But I've elected to not wait. I clearly know, as with anyone who cares to see eat the time they are, that I deserve this value. What else? Oh yes, I've got some thoughts on that too. The law, hyphen st. It's not, it's passing judgment. It's passing judgment to handoff so it won't be caught. It's more elegantly stated on my big ass note paper at home. That was the thought today. Trying to think, where did I leave off here? Anyway, self-launching, I can rewrite Patreon, but then I was like, you know what? You haven't tried Kickstarter, and you've got a whole marketing venue in front of you, and you could do a Kickstarter per volume. You could do a Patreon per volume. Volume, what I'm saying is brochure that I would send out EDDM. So it'd be, well, ideally, how I conceive it is EDDM, the money to produce the next 4-page print that could go out EDDM and also mailed in an envelope for collector to put on your shelf. It can be the same project. The money to foot my time to deliver, to print, to market, and disperse to people who are paying this to put it in their hands on their shelf, you know. That could happen in the same project. So that's just the initial idea. Kickstarter also allows me to do my little, my X&O ribbon. I can create product. Could, you know, work at a product or an angle, a project at a time. Again, these are just first blushes of ideas, but the initiation to do so is not to wait for no reason. So I'm trying to get past that. So this is funny. So I was trying to figure out where to market. Where should I market next? And so I was doing stitchomancy, which is, you know, it's kind of like tarot. You know, you don't really need it to, could just put a big question mark or surprise on Google. And it's really kind of me, it's just about, you know, when people look for totems or a reflection, you know, I'm thinking this and then I see that. That's all I was doing with stitchomancy. It's a little app on the internet. So my phone rewrites my word. So market, my question was market where to market. And MW for market where is what I typed in, very short, which would equal my query, and then spell check turned it into ME. But in stitchomancy, the excerpt comes from Balzac. Bureaucracy by anch0'r de Balzac, and I'm sure I did not pronunciate that right, says supporting him, period. So it came right in the middle of a sentence. Supporting him. At the end of the hour, the minister's vanity was greatly tickled. Madame Rabourdin, Rabourdin'', Madame Rabourdin's cleverness pleased him, and she had won his wife, who, delighted with the siren, invited her to come to all her receptions whenever she pleased. For your husband, my dear, she said, will soon be director. The minister intends to unite the two divisions and place them under one director. You will then be one of us, you know. His Excellency carried off Madame Rabourdin on his arm to show her a certain room, which was then quite celebrated because the opposition journals blamed him for decorating it extravagantly, and together they laughed over the absurdities of journalism. I was feeling tired, and that's kind of like why I kind of just tool around. I'm looking for a reflection. I was feeling tired, and then I'm like, it changed marketing where to me. That's what I'm doing. I'm marking me. I don't know if you could read that, but I saved it. And I will. Anyway, there's your visual. I thought it was kind of interesting. I mean, I suppose it really doesn't matter where I mark it. Or does it? Well, in theory, I'm marking on you. When you want to fact H2, that is up to you. So, I'm going to try and do that. I'm going to try and gather some steam to get some income, to make a segue to another website, which is probably going to be more along the lines of a news agency, the things that I originally want to do in the Patreon. So to do that, what else? Let's see. Ideas. Well, there is that opportunity if you want to. I mean, I'm more than happy. See, the other thing I haven't done is to make even money I haven't done that yet. And I do have designs on that. Exploring some outside options like looming the fabric myself and even the thread. I haven't looked into that, but I know what I like already is, and have tried at the very least, was silk, and then with the sample done at the Arm Factory here in Portland, the ink will go through and create, a reverse image on both sides. So I like that a lot. I was wondering how to finish edges. Pinking shears, of course, that's a great go-to because it won't fray. But I was just trying to explore other options. So I haven't quite sussed that out complete yet, but I left that paper, today's thoughts, at home. People in the competitive marketplace, for no reason, are not speaking residence in residence even. They're speaking in residence thief end. So I do believe the money, even money, needs to be made to pretend to get away. WHEYED. So what I haven't talked about then is the angle of creating the money. That could also can be a project, Kickstarter, Patreon, not sure. Either or, both. I don't know yet. Just starting to think about it. I can pay you for your contribution in even money if you want to. There's also, if I were exchanging with you in even money, well, there's there's no saying that you can't exchange with anyone else and that you couldn't do your own news agency. Continuing the same pretense. P-R-E-T, the ret is what you soak in. Pretense you part with, an ID with. The tat and the hat. Tat is a knot. K-N-O-T, 0T, over time. Innocence and reflection, sought and taught. So, I mean, I like those ideas. I'm really just trying to feel this out, bring a resonant balance, and understanding what needs to take place and how to do that, how to move beyond criticizing. Well, there's one important thing that I will say. With understanding the paramour of the hyphenated day, hyphen T, that's not really attractive without my framework, usually taken for granted. That was in quotation marks if the video froze. Usually taken for granted that I will stay in place for no reason. So that the paramour can look confident in the dynamic of passing Doft and having faith in passing Doft and having a T hyphen race and ace of and grace and Doft. Okay, so that anyone he presents himself hyphenated to can be sought and taught hyphenated, and he can get laid for no real reason he ever cared to gave or have. All right, and never gave away. He didn't give away. The law has not given away. The law is for Doft because the law passes Doft to go odd, do a foot off Doft, to get Doft back. And the law parts with the war, down with the war, Doft, and do it in the name of go odd, because go odd to the law hyphen S hyphen T is Doft. And these things we can always count on to restore the 0'r hyphenated. For those people moving the same hyphenated shit around and reground hyphenated. It's like working, you know, it's Simone Weil, W-E-I-L, would say, French, she would say, you cannot be anything other, you can't give anything other than you are. And when we're looking at people that pass a Doft to get Doft back, you know, these are the people putting things in plastic, because that's what they are. Versus spiritual elasticity, which is much of my medium. You give me shit, and I'm like, you know what? Let me just encompass it. I'm still a container of origin, and competition for no reason isn't. What else? Or something else I should have said I wanted to talk about, and I probably have notes here. Here it is. The other day I bought a fruit bowl, and I brought some other groceries, and I put the fruit bowl in the back, the other groceries over, slung over my, a pack over my shoulder, a crossbody pack, and I brought that in with minnow, and I thought I had everything. Didn't occur to me till the next morning when I looked in the fridge, and I'm like, there's no fruit bowl here. And I'm like, did I really leave that in the car all night in this heat? I was like, well, I only bought the $6 fruit bowl, not the 10 plus. So I was like, fine, I just threw away $6, but that's almost a sandwich at Rosemont. You know, I don't really like wasting money. So, I was like, fine, okay, fine. That was how many sodas? That's what my mind does. How many sodas was that? How many Power Crunch? You could have got a whole box of Power Crunch bars. Like, fine. Just trying to wash it under the bridge. Forget about it. You just think of it as a donation. You know? So, then I thought, you know, it's a write-off for the grocery store. And I know that because I worked at Trader Joe's, and Trader Joe's throws thousands of dollars of food away a day. Now, they do work and advertise that they work with I want to say it's not Salvation Army, but maybe with these food sort of for the poor people Meals on, no, it's not Meals on Wheels. Anyway, they work with organizations that will come and pick up a food that a grocery store is going to throw away, and they feed people. Traditionally, poor people are the people that go to these soup kitchens and whatnot. And Trader Joe's prominently advertises, hey, we do this, but what they don't advertise is on holidays, the workers of these organizations don't work, so rather than throwing thousands of dollars away, they throw tens of thousands of dollars away of food at holidays. And they do not give their employees, when I worked there, $9 an hour, they do not give their employees any benefit. They have to throw it away, they say. So they throw away good food. $10,000 plus at a holiday because there's no organization of charity to come pick it up. And the ideology of working at Trader Joe's, $9 an hour and 35 hours, so you never make overtime. So you try living on $9 an hour, 35 hours. For me, it was roughly $250 a week. What do you think average rent is? And I didn't know that I qualified for food stamps at the time. And what else? Oh yes, they will give you insurance, but that's going to cost you $60 a month. I'm like, do we take that out of where I live or the food that I'm not eating? So that to the side. I know they have a write-off. So I went back to Shaw's and I said, hey, I've been buying this fruit, your fruit bowl all summer, and this tastes a little fermented. That's what I said, and I got an exchange. They get a write-off on their end. So for me, if I'm going to do any rationalizing, the fruit I forgot to take in. And I write it off. Write it off. It just was. I don't think there's something legitimate about all the writing off that groceries get to do for no reason. So there's, there's the captains there that will treat a person like me who thinks for themselves. Ironically, Tracy anch0'r would regard me as going rogue. I'm like, but you're going rogue, B-itch. B-I divided by T -CH-D. You're squatting on me. You're squatting on reason and capacity and desire in life, and you're thief-end. That's why you're advocating that you should shit on me for no reason, because that's what you are. And it's made up to please H-Q- headquarters. Dan Bain -D. He's doing no more with the marketplace for no reason than anyone he hires in the same hyphenated capacity. So it's a bunch of smoke and mirrors of people pretending politeness, but you never gave. You never gaved, G-A-V-E parentheses N-D. Never gave. and you're coming down on me because I'm not honestly in the marketplace. That was in parentheses. So, what else? Here's my note on confidence, the paramour, sex appeal. The confidence. Women are really proscribed around the world to look to a man to frame them. But men, container doff to two toff for no reason, never had the value. EVALUEWE. AD. Add just the same. Never had Christ. Frame and gave, parentheses ND. Never. Never had Christ frame and gave and. I don't know if I got around to saying this, so there is a value. The paramour he's not attractive. He's not attractive when I understand the value of my frame. He didn't give, does not care to. I'm kind of like, a blight to the eyes is what it is. Oh, should I go ahead and say it? That's what he is. Don't even want to talk to about him as a he. Just kind of like an object of what the fuck, get out of my way. You don't rate. So, keep your little foray of polite tyranny of trying to scoop up women that are ignorant enough to accept you. Hyphenated too. What else? There is a value for you being on your own frame. If you can maintain. I would say love versus lust, because lust is a byproduct of hyphenated fashion, to dow with war, and its own hyphenated pace and placing, and plate and painting. I mean, if you're putting women in a container doff to two toft, and they want to be seen for something, most of them are going to shoot to be a model. Look at me, and then I can do this, 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 and you've not seen this angle? I'm 100% model. You're paying them to take it off. Okay, your fiction for sustainability. Oh, and get a comment. That was hyphenated in parentheses if my video froze. But those are my thoughts so far, and I'm trying to work on that. I thought I should let you know. Do you want me to send you the 4 pages that's a precog? Do you want to look at that? Did I put a fire in your pants? Fire. I can post it on your Facebook page if you want. Okay, I'll put it there. I have a whole folder of the definitions. So I will start working on getting that up with the definitions as a prelude to start working on a hopeful commercial possibility and getting a new website going, the news agency and whatnot, and figuring out how even money works into that. Okay, let's see if I can find, oh, write something, photo and video. Let's see if I can find this then. Alright, I'm going to stop this video for now, and I'll be posting, so I'm stopping this video.